Hey, howdy, and hello, Carson McKee here, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, a quick down and dirty lesson of my arrangement of the Bob Dylan song, Simple Twist of Fate. I've seen a lot of comments on that video asking arrangement questions or asking for tabs or chords. I can't read tabs, unfortunately, so the best I can do is give you sort of my version of a video breakdown. So I'm going to walk through how I play the song, talk a little bit about why I made the choices I made, and if I can figure out Adobe Premiere, hopefully on the screen as I talk, there will be like chord diagrams that pop up so that you don't have to rely just on my finger position. You can kind of follow along on screen. So, Simple Twist of Fate by Bob Dylan. The original recording is in the key of E. And like a lot of the songs on Blood on the Tracks, it was written in open E, an open E tuning. Now, when I started covering this song, I was 15, 16, and at that time, either I didn't know that it was an open tuning, or I just had no interest in exploring open tunings. So when I was figuring things out, I figured it out in a standard tuning. Now, what a lot of the standard tuning chords were lacking were the drone sounds and the jingly jangliness that an open tuning can kind of provide if you're only putting one or two fingers on the fretboard at a time. So some of the chord choices that I've come up with for this song are chords with suspended notes in them, and that kind of traveled the neck a little bit in order to kind of replicate that very full, lush sound that Bob is able to get by just playing an open E. Let's jump right in. First of all, my voice is lower than Bob's voice, and so when I recorded the YouTube video for this, I tuned my guitar down a half step. Instead of being tuned E to E, we're tuned D sharp or E flat, A sharp, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, or, E flat. I'm just reading off the tuner because my brain is a pile of pudding. Here are the basic chords you're going to need to know to play the Carson McKee brand version of Simple Twist of Fate. The first is simple, and as an aside, I'm going to be referring to these chords as the shapes, not as the actual chords themselves, right? So when I play an E shape, technically this is an E flat, but it's really confusing to refer to it that way, so I'm just going to call it E, even though we're in the key of E flat. Hopefully that makes sense. First shape is E, and hopefully that will be flashing up on the screen as we speak. This is just your standard cowboy chord E shape. The next is E major 7. That's going to pop up on the screen as well. Then the next chord is an E7. And then you could go one of two ways if you're following along to my YouTube video. Sometimes I play an A sus2 chord, which is basically an A, but with the ring finger removed, so that the B string and the E string are open. I usually finger it like this. That's one way, and that kind of gives you the jangly sound that an open tuning might. Another way that I like to get this sort of similar vibe is to slide my fingers up the neck of the guitar and put my index finger on the G string of the 6th fret and my middle finger on the D string of the 7th fret, and strum everything except for the E string. I think that this is an A add 9 in just like kind of a funny position. I'm sure a music person will be able to correct me on that. The next chord is some sort of variation of A minor. Either A minor add 9 or A minor 7. If you are playing this A sus2 chord, the most natural place to go from there is A minor 7, which again should be on the screen. If you're in this A add 9 position, you can achieve a minor chord, like this is the 3rd, so you can just slide that down 1. My middle finger's not doing anything. And those are all the chords you need except for this last chord, which is the A sus2 that we talked about earlier with an F sharp in the bass. So A sus2 over F sharp. I think the easiest way to do it is to just thumb it. Not all players are comfortable with doing that. There might be another way. You can experiment with different fingerings that work better for you, but that's how I get it. So those are all the chords that you need to play the Carson version. And I will play through very slowly now how all of those chords come together to make the song. The first part, that E major 7, E7 is a walk down sort of into the A chord. I think you're going to be able to hear kind of how that's functioning. You have that E. They sat together in the park. E major 7. As the evening sky grew dark. E7. She looked at him and he felt a spark. And this time around, let's go to the A sus2. Tangled to his bones. And then A minor 7. 'Twas then he felt alone. And then E wished, E major 7, that he'd gone A sus2 straight and watched out for that. And then A sus2 over F sharp. Simple twist of fate. And then in between the verses, you're rocking back and forth between E and A sus2 over F sharp. Okay, let me go through that again, but I'll put in the A add 9, I guess it is. So, they sat together in the park as the evening sky grew dark. She looked at him and he felt a spark. And then we're going up. Tangled to his bones. The minor. 'Twas then he felt alone. And he wished that he'd gone straight. And then usually I stick with the A sus2 during that da-da-da-da-da part because it's just right there in the first position. And watched out for that simple twist of fate. Okay, so that's all you need to know. That pattern, those chords repeat throughout the entirety of the song. I sort of improvised an outro, but I would recommend that you try to find something that kind of speaks to you, that sounds good to your ear. One more thing I'll go over, if you're interested, if you're still sticking around, is strumming pattern. I still don't know a good way to like talk about strumming other than being like down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So let me just break down kind of slowly what I do. I play rhythm kind of similarly, like I bring a similar instinct to a lot of songs. So if you like the way that my guitar playing sounds, the way that I approach this song might kind of give you some clues to, you know, fill in the gaps of other tunes if you're trying to learn how to play them. I start with an upstroke and a downstroke. Get So that's the beginning, and then I'm just gonna play it slowly. One thing you'll notice is that I always return to the root, the bass note of the chord. That always kind of begins the pattern. And I kind of make my way down and then upstroke that final note and then come back to the root. So, get you, bop, boom, da, boom, get you, get boom, jet, boom, get you, get. And when you get used to returning to just one string at the top of the structure, you can work on varying that string up. So you don't always have to return to the E. You can go boom, boom, boom. See how I'm picking a different string to land on up there? That really gives your strum pattern a sense of life, of movement, and it also outlines the chord. Instead of just strumming the whole chord and getting the soup of all the notes together, you're emphasizing some of the elements that make each chord distinct, while also kind of adding, you know, something like the effect of a bass playing along with you if you're just playing solo. But anyway, I'm just going to play through a verse and chorus now slowly. And if you want to play along, this would be a good opportunity to do that. So I'm just going to be playing at this tempo. Ready? So 1, 2, 3, 4. You sat together in the park as the evening sky grew dark. She looked at him and he felt a spark tingle to his bones. 'Twas then he felt alone and he wished that he'd gone astray. Watched out for that simple twist of fate. Walked along by the old canal, and so on. At full speed, that sounds like 1, 2, 3, 4. They sat together in the park as the evening sky grew dark. She looked at him and he felt a spark tingle to his bones. 'Twas then he felt alone and he wished that he'd gone straight and watched out for that simple twist of fate. I hope that has been helpful. If you have any other questions or any other ideas of sort of instructional or informational videos that you might find helpful, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Happy playing, happy picking. And as a sort of like send-off note, when I come up with these arrangements, you know, I don't always have a set structure in mind, and there's a sort of instinct of what feels good and sounds good that goes into it. So while you're messing with this, you know, if you're playing an A add 9 and you're like, man, I really like the way this sounds, or like, I can't really get my fingers on this the right way, feel free to experiment with different A chords. You know, there might be a different note. I mean, I don't know, you might play that or something and think it sounds cool. Like, mess around with different chords and notes, and, you know, don't be afraid to try things that you think might sound good and kind of follow your gut. But in case you just want to follow the formula that I have set out, hopefully this video will allow you to do that. And hey, don't have a send-off. Smash that like button, subscribe. I'll see you next week.